Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback. I am your host, Ryan Oliver, and today I am joined because I have a rising star in the 2025 class, Ryan Downs, with me. Ryan, how are you?
Doing great, doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ryan, I was telling you right before we got started that I'm really excited for this interview. You were number one on our Elite 101 that we released last year as a number one ranked prospect overall in your class. That's one of many accolades that you have. I wanted to ask you, what did it feel like to be ranked number one? What does it feel like to have your talents kind of put up there with the elite of the elite in your class?
It's great to be, recognized along so many great athletes in my class. And, it's just I know a lot of these guys personally, and we really have such a great class as a whole, like as our year in the 2025 class. And, you know, all of us are so deserving of any of those spots that you gave out. And, to be number one, it's great. It's definitely some motivation, but it's one of those things where I think we really have overall a really great class, and all the guys that are in that class are so capable, and we're really gonna light it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always tell people that the 2025 class is just littered with talent. And for you to be ranked number one, at least from us, is a nod to the hard work that you've put in. I remember I tweeted out, this is I don't know, over a year ago at this point, I said, someone tell me who the best quarterback in the class of 2025 is. And JJ McCarthy actually tweeted me and said, it's Ryan Downs, no questions asked. And so I was like, oh, well, like that's a pretty a big name to kind of give you that nod. And I actually already had you on my radar. You've actually made our Elite 101 twice because you reclassed. So you were actually on it once, and then you got the number one spot when you reclassed there. Ryan, you were one of the most polished quarterbacks I've seen, especially when I was evaluating you as an eighth grader. You were very tall, but your arm strength, the way you just saw the game from the pocket, the way you could deliver the ball, I thought it was well beyond your years. I want to ask you about your strengths in your own words. What do you view your strengths on the field as?
I've always just viewed my strengths as things that I can control. Being able to know exactly what my guys are doing, know exactly what the defense is doing, and just being able to put the ball where it needs to go on time. And that's always kind of been the big thing for me, is being able to anticipate where the ball needs to go, and just know where all my options are, and never really have a doubt, or never really doubt myself on where the ball needs to go.
Yeah, and I mean that just speaks through on every piece of film I've seen on you. It just seems like you have such a comfort level that's beyond your years in your decision making, and that's something, especially when you're looking at youth quarterbacks in the eighth grade space. When I was first like looking at your tape, I was just like, wow, like he looks so comfortable. And not only does he have the physical skills, but he kind of has the mental skills to put the ball, where it needs to be to control the offense. And I can tell your guys, trusted you out there on the field, and I think that's really important. I want to ask you how you feel now that you're in ninth grade, you're down at IMG Academy, how you feel your game has progressed over the past couple of years.
Over the past couple of years, it's definitely taken a step, because just growing up, getting bigger, just as you develop, and it just I'm able to do some things now that I wasn't just 2 years ago, just because just bigger, stronger, faster, all that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to see that kind of come along, and kind of see some of the stuff that you watch people do as a kid, and you're like, that's awesome. And then get out there and go try it, and you're like, hey, I could make that throw too.
Yeah.
And so that obviously that part's been fun. It's just a blessing that I've been able to continue to progress in that field, and always trying to work and get better. And
Yeah, absolutely.
but especially like on the mental side too, is just get older, you just take in more information, and
Yeah.
you're able to do more.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I totally get that. So you're about what, 6'4", 210 now, is that correct?
About that, yeah.
About that. He's probably like, I'm probably taller than that now. Yeah, no, I think like your measurements have always just stood out to me. I'm like, man, like he looks like a professional quarterback out there. He's in eighth grade, I'm sure you probably get that all the time, but that really stood out to me. You're from New York, is that correct?
That is correct.
Can I ask you a little bit about your journey from, I guess, New York to now you play at IMG? Kind of how did that come about, and how was that transition from being, a New Yorker to playing down south?
Yeah, I mean, big difference, big difference. I'm dealing with 68 degrees being cold here to, I don't, God only knows how cold it is there right now. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
coming down to Florida was kind of like, it was one of those things. It was just never, it just kind of all kind of came together really quick. And I saw one of those things. I saw IMG on a camp website at one point, and this is kind of back when I was getting into FBU and USA football and all that stuff. And it just kind of came up, and I'm like, this looks like a pretty cool deal, and figured I'd try it out. I mean, IMG's always been such a prestigious program, and went down there and had a blast, had a really good time, and went back the next year. And some of the coaches asked if I would come down and join them for the season, and just kind of went from there. It was kind of like a blur from that point, and found myself in Florida a few weeks later. So
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of how it came together.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you miss New York, and how do you like Florida? How's that going for you?
Of course I miss New York. I mean, I love I love where I grew up. I miss the people more than anything, but it's but I mean, Florida, I have no complaints about Florida yet. It's nice all year round. It's I love it down here. So
Yeah, I've been down to IMG Academy a few times myself, and my parents actually live in Florida, so I get where you're coming from. It's like hard to beat 68 being cold,
yeah.
and that's especially because I live in the DC area, so I relate to the New York cold. So it's kind of like I get exactly how you feel there. So you have a pretty impressive resume. Like I said, you were number one on our Elite 101. You play for IMG. Has a success? Oh, and also you have some D1 offers on your belt. Colleges have already reached out to you and said they want you to be a part of their program. Do those successes just motivate you to keep going? You're like, okay, I see I have these positive things going, but I have so much further I can push myself.
For sure. And it's like you said, like, I mean, that's the beginning. And that's just like, it's nice to get some, like, I guess, some affirmation that, hey, I'm doing the right things, people are noticing. But at the same time, it's like, these people see something for me, and, they want to see me succeed. And then they took time to come invest in me and come, see what I can do. And that's kind of like, that's a little extra motivation too, is like, I don't want to let these people down. They saw something in me, and, I want to make them proud, and I want to, take the opportunity that they've given me and kind of execute that to the best of my ability.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit about the colleges that have offered you. We don't have to get into too much of the specifics on like who and all that. It's been a few colleges. If you want to, you can get into the specifics though. But what I really want to ask you is, what did it feel like to get that first offer? What did that say to you about the progress you had made in your game?
That first one, that was a big one. I remember that one, but it's it was such a it's one of those moments that you'll never forget. And just walking out the practice field, that one was during spring ball, and one of those things, like, it's just I'll never forget that. And coach called me over, and I was able, talking to him, and I mean, me, I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
And I mean, the second those words came out of his mouth, like, I couldn't believe it, because I mean, it's stuff that you always hear people talk about, and you see it thrown around on social media all the time, but like, to actually have someone in person and give it to you, and like, it's just like, especially it being your first, there's nothing really in my life that's compared to like the happiness of that moment, I guess. So
Sure.
that was really cool.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. I never obviously had that experience, but I can imagine, especially at like a young age, you kind of feel like, wow, like my dream is actually in reach, even though I have a few years to go, but before I get to college, that, okay, like all this hard work I'm putting in on the field is like already being recognized. I could definitely see how that would be like a life one time feeling that you really are like, okay, I got this first thing under my belt. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. That's really cool. Ryan, I want to ask you about your leadership. Do you view yourself as a leader of the team that you play for? And tell me a little bit about what your leadership style is.
For sure. The way I always try to lead people is, I've always been one to lead by example. I always try to do things the right way. And, if you're one of those people who's following me, you're most likely doing things the right way, the way they're supposed to be done. And, that's always just kind of been the way I do things. I really don't, I can be a vocal leader, and like, there are times where, I'll speak up, and, I'll say things when I need to, but all in all, I just, I go about, we kind of just do things that we need to do, and we do them quietly. We don't really need to talk about it. Everyone knows what they need to do. And, if you don't know what you need to do, there's enough guys around that are doing the right thing that, they'll catch on. So that's always kind of been my style. And, especially like off to the side stuff is, I'm always able to help people off to the side if they need help. But, I've never been one for calling people out or, addressing people in front of everybody. And, it's being able to kind of, guide people in the right direction. And just because I know there's always people who did that for me when I was younger. And, even doing that with, people who are older than me or kids that are younger with me, it's just like, I've had all those people in my life who have helped me. So it's like, it's my responsibility now to do that for other people.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, Ryan. That's really impressive. That's a great way to look at it. I want to ask you a little bit about what you're doing to improve your game. What are some areas maybe you look at and say, okay, like, I know most athletes are going to say I'm working on everything, and I'm sure you are, but is there any area you look at and you say, okay, if I can get better here, I can take my game to an even higher level?
For sure. The big thing for me is always, how consistent can I be? And, because I have confidence in myself to, make a lot of throws and, make the right decisions. But, when it comes down to it is how consistent can you be and how efficient can you be making those decisions and, making those throws. And, you got to get to the point where, I can't say perfect, but, pretty close to perfect. And because, that's what it comes down to. And I think that's one of the big things that I, need to work on and, improve on definitely.
Ryan, how long have you been playing the quarterback position, and what about that position do you enjoy the most?
Uh, I think so. I've been playing quarterback, back since flag football when, that was, that's when, I was, anyone is, you catch 3 touchdowns, you throw 4 touchdowns, you
Right.
have 2 interceptions, all-star game. But, ever since that age, I was always put at quarterback just because I could, get the ball the furthest to people. And,
Right.
I always had I had the ability to do it, I guess. And, I always thought it was fun. And I thought it was kind of fun, be the guy on the, the always a part of the play and, always, I kind of like, honestly, I like sharing the ball. I thought it was fun. My
Right.
6-year-old, 7-year-old brain was like, I get to share the ball to this guy and he gets to score. Like, this is sick. And,
Yeah.
but that's the way it always appealed to me. And I grew up a Jets fan, and I watched those games all the time, and just watching those guys play quarterback. Mark Sanchez was my quarterback growing up, unfortunately. But but still, watching him, it just those guys always looked like they had so much fun,
Right.
and it was one of those things like it always just appealed to me, and just
Totally.
kind of grew from that age, playing flag all the way up to where it has now.
Yeah, totally. I want to ask you, so for someone that hasn't seen you play, Ryan, if they came to a game where Ryan Downs is the quarterback, what could they expect to see?
They'd expect to see, taking what the defense gives me, just, going up and down the field and, long, sustained drives, just get it moving the ball, continually moving the chains. And, but we'll throw the ball deep too. I mean, you give us an opportunity to, we'll take a shot, but, I don't like to force anything. I like, just take the game as it comes to me and, just take it as it goes. But I guess that's more or less what you'd see.
Yeah, and they're going to see a great arm talent and definitely poise in the pocket. Those are two things that I definitely think stand out when I watch your film. So I want to give you credit for those two things. Ryan, on a lighter note, I asked this to every athlete I interview with for the first time. What is in your headphones before a big game?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is an interesting question. I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Um, probably my favorite stuff to listen to today is Drake's my favorite. No one can convince me otherwise.
Okay.
But I'll throw in some classic rock there too, maybe some Bob Marley. I'll go all over the place, but just really whatever. Like the other week I had Michael Jackson going pregame just
Oh,
because
nice.
whatever just kind of gets me moving, gets me relaxed and gets me ready to go play. And I'm not all for like the big hype deal. Like it's just going out there to have fun and relax and just spin the ball around. And
Do you have a favorite Drake song? If you had to pick one that you're gonna put on, like, okay, this is my one Drake song that like I gotta go out here and have a big game. What Drake song are we putting on, Ryan?
God, that's hard. You just asked me the hardest question I have been asked in a
I'm a
long
big
time.
Drake guy too, though. I'm a big Drake guy too, so I know it's hard to pick from his like thousands of good songs.
God, that's tough. You know, in my eyes, you really can't go wrong with the whole Scorpion album. So good. But I think
Okay. I like that album.
recently, I'd say, Laugh Now, Cry Later. That's one of my favorite songs he's released in
Hey,
a
I like
while.
that.
And
Good choice. Good choice, Ryan. I like that. We're aligned in that. Or our names are the same, and Drake is like my favorite artist too. So I'm right there with you, man. That's awesome. Well, Ryan, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to sit down with me and join me on Monday Morning Quarterback. It honestly is, it's been a pleasure to get to know you. I've been following your game for quite some time. Obviously, you're number one on our Elite 101, so I have to be following you to make you number one. But I'm really just, it makes me happy to be able to sit down and get to know you a little bit. And I'm glad that other people get to know you a little bit too through this interview. I want to say thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, man.
for sure, thank you for having me on. It means a lot.